They called me a gold digger. His mother threw my modest gift back in my face. His sister laughed at my simple dress. They had no idea that the poor girl their son was marrying came from one of the wealthiest families in the state. Then my father's limousine pulled up to the church. Before we dive into this story, if you love tales where karma comes full circle, hit that subscribe button and ring the bell so you never miss a story. Trust me, you'll want to see how this one ends. Now, let me tell you about the wedding day that changed everything. I met Benjamin on a Tuesday afternoon at a small coffee shop near the university. I was working the counter, steaming milk for lattes and wiping down tables between customers. He came in with this genuine smile, the kind that reaches your eyes, and ordered a simple black coffee. What caught my attention wasn't his expensive watch or his tailored coat. It was how he helped an elderly woman carry her tray to a table, how he thanked me by name after reading my badge, how he left a kind note with his tip instead of just loose change. We started talking. He'd come in every Tuesday and Thursday, always at 3 o'clock. We'd chat about books, about life, about dreams that had nothing to do with money or status. He never asked what I did beyond the coffee shop. I never mentioned that I only worked there because I donated my entire salary to the youth scholarship fund my family's foundation ran. After 6 months of coffee-stained conversations and stolen glances, he proposed to me at the lighthouse overlooking the bay. It was simple, perfect, and real. But here's what Benjamin didn't know. Here's what I'd kept hidden behind my thrift store dresses and my modest apartment and my part-time barista job. My father is Jonathan Sterling. Yes, that's Sterling. Sterling Industries. Fortune 500? $8 billion. One of the most powerful men in the state. And I'd spent my entire adult life hiding from that name because I was tired, so desperately tired, of men who loved my bank account before they ever learned my middle name. When Benjamin introduced me to his family, I discovered something that almost made me laugh. He was wealthy too. The Whitmores were old money, the kind of family that had portraits in the country club and a wing of the hospital named after them. Their mansion sat on 5 acres of manicured grounds, but I'd done my research. My family's fortune made theirs look like pocket change. They just didn't know it yet. The first dinner at the Whitmore estate was like walking into a snake pit wearing perfume made of mice. Patricia, Benjamin's mother, greeted me with a handshake so limp it felt like touching a dead fish. Her eyes scanned me from head to toe, lingering on my simple blue dress from a department store clearance rack, my plain flats, my lack of designer anything. I could see the judgment calcifying in real time behind her eyes. "So," she said as we sat down to dinner, her voice dripping with false sweetness, "where exactly did Benjamin find you?" Benjamin squeezed my hand under the table. I smiled. "We met at the coffee shop where I work." The silence that followed was deafening. Caroline, Benjamin's sister, actually choked on her wine. William, his father, looked up from his phone for the first time since I'd arrived, and there, in the corner, sat Grandmother Whitmore, ancient and sharp-eyed, watching me like a hawk watches a rabbit. "You work at a coffee shop?" Patricia repeated, as if I'd just confessed to robbing banks. "How industrious." Caroline leaned forward, her diamond bracelet catching the chandelier light. "Let me guess, community college?" "I went to the state university," I said calmly. This was true. I'd turned down Yale and Princeton because I wanted a normal experience. The laughter that followed was polite but cutting. Patricia patted my hand in a gesture that was somehow more insulting than a slap would have been. "Well, we all start somewhere, don't we?" Grandmother Whitmore's voice cut through the awkwardness like a blade. "She won't last 6 months." She said it directly to my face, not even pretending to whisper. "I've seen dozens of girls like you try to climb into this family. They all fall." Benjamin started to protest, but I touched his arm. "It's all right," I said. And it was, because I knew something they didn't. I wasn't climbing anything. I was descending from heights they couldn't imagine to see if this man, this kind man who held doors and remembered names, was worth it, and whether his family deserved the gift of my presence. That night, I decided not to tell them. Not yet. They wanted to judge me. Let them. They wanted to test me. Bring it on. I would let them reveal exactly who they were before I revealed who I was. The cruelty started small but grew like a cancer. Patricia insisted on taking me dress shopping, then proceeded to drag me to the most expensive boutique in the city. She made me try on gowns that cost more than most people's cars, then loudly discussed my unfortunate figure with the staff within my earshot. "Can you make her look presentable?" she asked the seamstress, as if I wasn't standing right there on the platform. Caroline, coincidentally, showed up with 3 of her socialite friends. They circled me like sharks, taking photos, whispering behind their hands. That night, I saw the pictures. They'd photoshopped my face onto degrading memes and shared them in their private group chats. My private investigator sent me the screenshots. I saved every single one. The bridal shower was worse. Patricia invited 60 of her closest friends and exactly 0 of mine. I sat in a room full of women wearing jewelry worth more than houses, and they asked each one about their family, their background, their pedigree. When they got to me, the room fell silent. "My father is in business," I said simply. The laughter was barely concealed. One woman, dripping in pearls, actually said, "What kind of business? Landscaping?" The room erupted. Patricia didn't even try to hide her smile. I'd made Benjamin a gift, a handmade leather journal filled with photos and memories from our relationship. I'd spent weeks on it, pouring love into every page. When Patricia opened it in front of everyone, she dropped it like it had burned her. "How rustic," she said, her nose wrinkling. "Did you make this in craft class?" Caroline grabbed it, held it up for everyone to see. "Wait, she's serious? This is her actual gift?" The mockery in the room was so thick I could taste it. But the worst part? Patricia's friend Helen leaned over and said, loud enough for me to hear, "I heard she refused to sign a prenup." Patricia's smile was vicious. "Oh, she'll sign. Or there won't be a wedding." Then the letter started. Anonymous messages slipped under my apartment door. "Leave while you can. You don't belong in our world." Photos of me at the coffee shop, at the grocery store, at my apartment building. Someone was following me. My investigator traced it back to Caroline and her friends. They thought they were so clever, trying to scare me away. 1 week before the wedding, Patricia invited me to a private meeting. Just her, William, and 3 lawyers. A prenuptial agreement sat on the table, thick as a phone book. But this wasn't a normal prenup. This was a document designed to humiliate. It had clauses about my behavior, my dress code, my public appearances. It essentially hired me as an employee rather than welcomed me as family. I read every page slowly, making notes with a pen they didn't notice was a limited edition Mont Blanc, asking sophisticated legal questions that made their lawyers shift uncomfortably. Then I set down the pen. "No," I said simply. Patricia's face turned purple. "You little fool! You'll get nothing." "I don't marry for money," I said, standing. "I marry for love." As I left, I heard William on his phone. "Increase the pressure. I want her gone before the wedding." The final week was psychological warfare. Caroline created fake social media accounts in my name, posting embarrassing fabricated stories. Someone called my employer and got me fired. Someone called my landlord and nearly got me evicted. They were trying to make me homeless and jobless, so I'd have to depend on Benjamin. Then they could prove I was a gold digger. It was brilliant and cruel and exactly what I needed to let them do. Benjamin came to me 3 days before the wedding, his face pale. They'd shown him fake evidence, doctored photos, fabricated recordings. "Are you who you say you are?" he asked, his voice breaking. "I have kept one secret from you," I admitted. His face fell. "I'm not who your family thinks I am. But I need you to trust me until the wedding. Can you do that?" He struggled, but finally nodded. "I love you. I'll trust you." The day before the wedding, Grandmother Whitmore invited me to tea. Just the 2 of us in her private sitting room. She was frighteningly calm as she pushed a briefcase across the table. $5 million, she said. "Cash. Walk away." I stayed silent. "Refuse," she continued. "And I'll destroy you. I've hired investigators. We'll find every skeleton in your family's closet." She leaned forward. "I've ruined women 10 times better than you." I stood up calmly. "You're welcome to investigate. You won't find what you're looking for." She threw her teacup across the room. "You insolent girl. By the wedding day, you'll beg to leave." That night my mother finally arrived. She'd stayed away as we'd planned, letting me handle this alone. She saw the exhaustion in my eyes, the toll the psychological warfare had taken. "Say the word," she said, "and your father ends them financially." "No," I replied. "Tomorrow they learn the truth their way." Benjamin called late that night. His family had been pressuring him for hours. "They want me to call it off," he said. "But I won't. I love you. Tomorrow, we start our life." My phone buzzed with one final anonymous message. "Last chance. Don't come to the church." I turned off my phone and went to sleep. The morning of the wedding, Patricia showed up at my small hotel room with photographers. "For memories," she claimed, but I knew she was documenting my poverty. She inspected my makeup, criticized my simple pearl necklace, tried to replace it with Whitmore family diamonds to make it look like I needed their charity. "I'll wear what I brought," I said firmly. Her smile turned venomous. "Suit yourself. You'll regret it." The cathedral was packed with their people. My side of the church held exactly 2 people, my mother and my best friend, just as we'd planned. The visual imbalance was intentional humiliation on their part. Every guest stared, pointed, whispered loud enough for me to hear. "That's her? Poor Benjamin. Give it 6 months." The gift table sat prominently near the entrance, covered in crystal and silver and extravagantly wrapped boxes from their wealthy friends. My simple wrapped frame stood out like a sore thumb. Patricia, in a move that was calculated to perfection, opened my gift before the ceremony in front of the gathering crowd. "Oh, the bride's gift. Let's see." She unwrapped it slowly, building drama. When she pulled out my framed photo collage, there was a moment of silence. Then she laughed, loud and cruel, the sound echoing off the cathedral's stone walls. "Everyone! Look! A homemade gift! How absolutely precious!" Caroline grabbed it, held it up like evidence at a trial. "Did you make this in kindergarten?" Phones came out. Flash photography captured my pathetic gift from every angle. My face burned, but not with shame, with anticipation. The music started. I walked down that long aisle alone, every step measured. Patricia's stage whisper carried through the cathedral. "At least she doesn't have family here to embarrass us further." "Small mercies." Caroline's voice followed. "Look at her shaking." Probably terrified we'll discover the truth. Poor Benjamin, trapped by a nobody. Grandmother Whitmore's cold smile met mine as I passed her row. She whispered, "Enjoy your last moments of relevance." I reached Benjamin at the altar. His kind eyes found mine, saw my tears, and he assumed they were joy. "You're beautiful," he whispered. Behind him, his family smirked. They thought they'd won. The minister began. "Dearly beloved, we are gathered here today." That's when Patricia stood up, breaking every rule of wedding etiquette. "I'm sorry, but I must speak." Gasps rippled through the crowd. Benjamin turned. "Mother, what are you doing?" "I cannot in good conscience watch my son make this mistake." She pulled out documents, fake evidence they'd fabricated. "This woman has refused our prenuptial agreement. We have evidence she's here for money. She's been lying about everything." Benjamin's face showed shock, hurt, confusion. "Mother, stop this." "No, you'll thank me later." Caroline stood too. "We have proof." The cathedral erupted in chaos, guests murmuring, standing, craning to see. Benjamin looked at me, questions in his eyes. I said nothing. I just looked toward the cathedral doors and smiled. Patricia noticed. "What are you smiling at?" Right on cue, the massive cathedral doors burst open. Sunlight streamed in, silhouetting a distinguished figure. Security team entered first, 6 men in dark suits, moving with military precision. Then he appeared. My father. Jonathan Sterling walked down that aisle like he owned it, because in a very real sense, he owned half the city. His navy suit was perfect. His presence was commanding. The cathedral fell absolutely silent except for his footsteps. William Whitmore stood up, his face draining of all color. No, it can't be. Patricia turned, and I watched her mouth fall open. My father reached the altar, kissed my forehead gently. Sorry I'm late, sweetheart. Then he turned to face the congregation. William's whisper came out as a strangled shout. Jonathan Sterling? The name echoed through the cathedral. Phones came out, people frantically Googling. The recognition spread like wildfire. My father smiled, cold and sharp. William, Patricia, what a lovely ceremony. He looked directly at them. I hope my daughter has been treated with the respect she deserves as a guest in your home, as your future family member. His assistant, who'd quietly entered behind him, set up a small projector. Images flashed on the cathedral's stone wall. The mocking texts, the bridal shower humiliation captured on video, the gift table incident from 15 minutes ago, the fake social media posts, all of it displayed for 300 guests to see. Patricia tried to speak, her voice shaking. We thought. You thought you could bully someone you perceived as weak, my father said. His voice wasn't loud, but it carried. You judged her by her clothes, her job, her humble presentation. Never once looking at her character, or considering she might have chosen simplicity. William stepped forward. Jonathan, please, let us explain. The Sterling Foundation funds over 200 charities, my father continued. My daughter runs the youth education program. She works that coffee shop because she volunteers her entire salary to scholarship funds. She chose humility. You chose cruelty. Benjamin turned to me, his eyes wide. You're a Sterling? I took his hand gently. I needed to know you loved me, not my name. And I needed to see who your family really was. His eyes filled with tears. I'm so sorry for what they did. I should have protected you better. You defended me when you could, I said softly. But I needed to handle this myself. He gripped my hands tighter. Marry me anyway? Not for your money, not for mine, because I love you. I nodded, tears flowing freely now. Yes. My father turned back to William. Our business partnership is under review. My lawyers will be in touch. The Sterling Foundation will be reconsidering all Whitmore-affiliated donations. He paused. I believe you have a wedding to complete? Grandmother Whitmore, the woman who'd threatened to destroy me just yesterday, actually fainted. The woman who'd ruined better women than me crumpled in her pew. But Benjamin and I? We decided to continue. My father walked me properly down the aisle, gave me away with pride rather than shame. The minister, thoroughly shaken, resumed the ceremony. When we exchanged vows, Benjamin promised to always see me, not my circumstances. I promised to always test us, to keep us real. We kissed as husband and wife, while Patricia slumped broken in her seat, and Caroline cried tears that were real for the first time in her privileged life. That was 6 months ago. Benjamin and I live in a modest apartment because we choose to. We both work, me at the foundation, him at a startup he's building from the ground up. We use our family money for good, not for show. The Whitmores. Patricia and William divorced when the scandal broke their marriage. Caroline is in therapy, learning humility the hard way she should have learned it growing up. Grandmother Whitmore is in a retirement home, alone, visited by no one. Their business struggles after Sterling Industries pulled out, their social standing crumbled when 300 witnesses posted about what they'd seen. Benjamin has limited contact with his family now. They're learning respect, slowly, painfully. He's building his own path, his own name, and I've never been prouder of the man he's becoming. So that's how my wedding day became the day my in-laws learned the most expensive lesson of their lives. Sometimes the people you look down on are looking at you from heights you can't imagine. They tried to break me with their cruelty, but they only broke themselves. If this story reminded you that kindness costs nothing but means everything, smash that like button. Subscribe for more real-life stories where karma does its job perfectly. Drop a comment telling me, would you have revealed your identity sooner, or would you have let them dig their own graves like I did? Thanks for watching, and remember, never judge a book by its cover because that book might own the whole library. See you in the next story.